The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. For their details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
And
speaking of God bless America. Speaking of Cinema Classics, John, starting tomorrow, May 20th, we will have at the Gateway Film Center select screenings of The Wild Bunch in 70mm.
A 70mm?
Yeah. Now I gotta ask you something.
Yeah.
So you remember how this movie opens up? Do you remember the first?
The kid?
What? Maybe we have two different. Are we talking about the same movie?
I think we are.
Okay.
The little kids playing.
Yeah. And what are they doing?
Okay, and they're burning up a little what is it? One of those scorpions.
Is that what they're doing?
God, yeah, I think so.
I thought they were.
But it was only like 50 years ago. But my memory is so sharp.
I don't doubt. Maybe my memory is dull.
You're the one.
What is the movie that opens up with them shooting the heads off of chickens?
Oh, maybe that's it. I don't remember that. I remember the kid.
All right. Well, this
anyway,
totally blows
you
my
got
opening.
the point. This is one heck of a violent movie.
Yeah, it starts with violence,
Holy
ends
geez.
with violence. There's violence all in between, and yet it's a very thoughtful rumination on the changing of the guard in the Old West. And
Yeah,
these
I
guys,
love it. Yeah,
a dying breed, rather,
Yeah.
right?
I love it. There's probably 150 bodies
Mm-hmm.
in this movie. 22 in the first, 122 in the last one.
Right.
And yet it's
And
more
200
than that.
if you just include Ernest Borgnine.
Anyway, this has got a ripe cast.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are over the hill.
Well, these guys are all like, I mean, well, the cast is headed up by William Holden,
Yes.
who was one of the great stars from the 40s.
All right,
and
just let me
50s.
intercede here. You know, of course, they wanted Lee Marvin, Burt Lancaster, James Stewart, Charlton Heston, all the way through to Robert Mitchum.
Well, that's fine because
they
Lee
turned it down. These guys turned it down.
And you know, and then what was it right before that? It must have been right before that. Well, because Lee Marvin and Burt Lancaster had just made The Professionals in
And
1966.
Robert Ryan was in that too.
Yeah, Ryan was in that
And that's
too.
one of the reasons that you're exactly right.
They had already done the
Yes,
Teen
they had
Western.
done it. Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
And this movie is decidedly different. This is a Peckinpah movie. It's directed by Sam Peckinpah.
Yep.
So there is a grittiness to it.
Hey, he did
and-
Straw Dogs.
Right.
Wow.
That was after this.
Yeah. But boy, that's one great director.
Well, everything he's done has been violent.
Not
and
everything.
Misogynistic.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Junior Bonner was that?
Well,
I
except
can't
for that
remember.
one. There's always an exception to the rule, but you know,
I do.
generally speaking, Peckinpah is mired in masculine politics.
All right, listen, these guys are going to pull off another job.
Yeah.
It is 1913. It's just pre-World War I. So you know the world is bound to change. And these guys, particularly Pike, William Holden, character, knows that things are passing.
Yeah.
Their guns, he says, we have to think past our guns.
Right.
You know, you just can't do that anymore. And they've got an old buddy going after them.
Mm-hmm. Robert Ryan.
The fantastic Robert Ryan.
That guy was so good. He was one of the great actors of
Oh,
all
he
time.
was indeed.
Able to play a hero as well as a villain.
You know, and it reminds me a little bit of Captain America that's currently out, because it's about male bonding, it's about being a buddy, it's about being loyal to each other. I mean, there's a strong theme of this, and you're talking 1969. That's what I like about this. Thematically, it's got several strains. It's not just to shoot 'em up. It is about the way people interact with each other.
Sure.
And that's why I mentioned that child thing at the beginning. Because it ends with a child, as we all know. We don't spoil the ending, do we?
No.
No, we
No,
say
no.
the kid shoots him.
That's
The
right.
kid shoots, you know. So kids, the
Yeah,
future.
Again, it ties into this theme, right, of the passing of the guard.
Oh, I love it.
This way of life is
Yes.
going away. You know, it's interesting. 1969. It's the same year that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid came out.
Oh, good one.
Also a movie very nostalgic about the passing of the West. You know, remember the bicycle scene?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
bicycles were
You
going
love
to
it.
replace
Yeah,
horses.
yeah.
And that was a significant image of a new era.
Yeah, the Sykes, the Edmund O'Brien character says, it ain't like it used to be. but it'll do. And so even the minor characters are aware of that passage of time.
Yeah.
And another time they say, I think Pike says, when you side with a man, you stay with him.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
I love those ideas.
But
right?
his best line is, I think, his first line, but I can't remember it exactly.
Well, you have your,
Right, of course I do.
print off sheet right there, so just refer
So
to that.
here's the line I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
If they move, kill
Yeah.
them.
So, 1969, many major events, historic events happened in 1969. You're probably thinking of the landing of the moon or Woodstock, but I was born in 1969.
Oh, 69, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
right. That seems
big year.
Yeah, that does.
For
yeah,
everyone.
Yeah.
This movie at the time was seen as a sort of commentary on Vietnam. Do you remember that discussion happening?
Well, and I remember Roger Ebert himself going back and changing his mind about the violence. And what he makes is one of the great statements, I think, about it. They're actors, they're bodies, but it's not real. Because people were so worried about, this was the first time, one of the first times they had blood spurting out.
Yeah.
So it was very realistic. So people were really, unsettled by the visual. But Roger Ebert himself, being somewhat in love with the visual representation, comes back to it and says, look, there's so much more going on. It's metaphor.
Yeah.
He's saying, and people who go to the movies, and we sometimes fail to see this, know that it's a movie. And he says the realism is even accentuates the fact that it's a movie. That is, we're so surprised, but we
Well,
realize.
yeah, there's all that operatic slow motion.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Quick cuts.
bodies in
Yes.
pain.
Yeah.
Wounds
Yeah.
opening. But it really was, at that time, thought of as a commentary on the war and a representation of the violence we were seeing at home. And I just wondered if you remembered that, or
No.
if looking
yeah.
back that's just stupid, or what.
No, it's not. But I think that's the richness that comes over time as well. It's like, again, I'll allude to Captain America, where you
Well, you got Captain America on the
I
brain.
do on my brain, because I think it's a pretty good show. And Kevin and I are going to do something on that today. But I really think the whole concept of
Don't mention another critic one, if you don't mind.
How about Summer?
On our
I
show.
mentioned Summer.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
mention that.
okay.
That's fine.
The whole concept of collateral damage.
Yeah.
And there you see, I think we're so much more sensitive to the allegorical implications, where in '69 I'm not sure we were. We were still coming off of Bonnie and Clyde even. We were thinking in terms of violence and realism, but we were yet not, I think, not sophisticated as audience enough to see it as allegory.
Yeah.
Whereas I think so quickly with Captain America, you see right away what these brothers, the Russo brothers, are doing.
Yeah.
And they're clearly commenting on the world scene. The U.S. as the dominant force, does it need to be checked by the UN and so on? All that, yeah. So yeah, you asked me, and I'd have to say that no, I was not sophisticated enough to have looked at the allegorical implications, particularly about the Vietnam War. And I'm just saying that now from this distance.
Yeah.
It could have been at that time, but I can only tell you that in my current situation, I'm always seeing the parallels. Then it was still a great Western.
Well, I mean, in that particular moment, history was so there was so many crazy things happening. The moon landing, Woodstock, Charles Manson, and great movies. Butch Cassidy, we already mentioned. Midnight Cowboy. I mean, the whole thing was just swirling.
And as we're moving into the 70s, I think into a great age of cinema again. Peckinpah is not really some kind of archaic director. I think he's actually moving us forward where people think he's taking us back or taking us into a realm of realism that isn't even as great as, say, High Noon.
Yeah.
So, who knows? But do you think our audience is going to enjoy this in 70 millimeter?
Yeah, I mean, this is a glorious movie. Imagine all that blood in 70 millimeter. Imagine Ernest Borgnine in 70 millimeter.